All right, so I just got home and I got a pair of these in the mail, and I wanted to show you guys what they look like in person. My first look, because I've heard mixed reviews on the interwebs. Some people saying they look good, some people saying they don't. I'll be my own judge of that, and you guys can probably be your own judge as well. All right, here's the box. Air Jordan 1 Retro High OG, and then 160 on the box. All right, so here's a look at the shoe. My first look with you guys. Man, that smell. Unmistakable. Anytime you get a real pair, it's unmistakable, the scent of an Air Jordan 1. That rubber smell, man, it just gets you every single time. It gets me every time. I kind of want to just like rub it on my wrist for like cologne or something. Smell that rubber all day long. Probably not the scent that my coworkers and stuff want to smell, but yeah. So this is my first look, and I gotta say, pretty good. So the official colors of the shoe are Sail, University Blue, and Obsidian, and that is the bluish color in the front. And the bluish color in the front is definitely the weakest of the three materials. Then you have the back. Actually, in pictures, this doesn't look like very good quality, but as you touch it, it's like really nice, buttery University Blue. And then the Sail is where this thing kind of shines. So the Sail quality on the leather looks really, really good. And it feels really good too. Like this is actually pretty decent. So not mad at that. The quality of these are decent, and I could see why people would definitely want to get a pair of these. 160, great price point. Rumor is prices of Jordan 1s are going to go up next year. I don't know how true that is or not. I haven't been paying enough attention. But really, what I want to know is, what do you guys think about this Air Jordan 1 craze? I haven't seen a Air Jordan 1 coveted for the longevity that this Air Jordan 1 wave has been. Like, I don't think ever. And it's so crazy for me to see, because when Jordan Brand saturates the market on a model of Air Jordan, usually it goes belly up and then the model just kind of sits in stores. But I think there are a couple reasons though why the Air Jordan 1 has so much longevity right now. So let's go ahead and get into those. The very first one is because of the midsole. The fact that this is an all rubber midsole, there is no phylon and there is no parts of this midsole that are going to deteriorate from the outside and crumble. I think that is a huge selling factor on the shoe. And I'll give you guys two kind of expensive examples. So the Air Jordan 5 Tokyo, this is a yellow toe sample. There's only like 3 of these, maybe 4 of them that I know of. And I have one of the pairs, and this is a super crazy limited shoe. I don't know the open market price, probably upwards of $6,000 or $7,000, maybe $8,000. But the reality is it really worth that much money? Because obviously it's just hyped up and people want to pay for something that's somewhat limited. But this midsole right here is going to prevent this shoe from having longevity. It's going to prevent this shoe from being wearable. So maybe in another 5 or 10 years, at some point this midsole could crumble and then just fall apart. Now, I live in a state where the climate is actually really good, so there's not a lot of dry air and it's not overly moist. So these last longer than probably other states, probably like Florida and Arizona, for example. But regardless of that, it's still going to crumble. It's still going to have problems. So then you have an $8,000 shoe that I could wear to a sneaker event and literally have the shoe fall apart. So the shelf life of this is not near as long as something like the Air Jordan 1, in my opinion, because of all the rubber encasing of the midsole. It's literally just rubber and leather and some nylon material. Inside here, there is an air unit, but it's encased inside of this midsole. So if it goes bad, it's going to go bad from inside of this sole. I bought these gently used and I paid a lot of money for these. I think upwards of $750. And you could see the very, very first time I wore these, the midsole completely cracked like that. So that is just what happens. I mean, older shoes, and this is not the retro. This is before I knew they were going to retro, but you could see the cracked paint right there. So the paint cracking is problematic. The midsoles falling apart is problematic. So because of the Air Jordan 1 having that longevity for wearability, I think that there is more of a resale market on that shoe because people are willing to pay the higher dollar amount for a pair of shoes that they can wear potentially longer than some of the other shoes on the market. So the next reason is the price point. I think that the price point at $160 is definitely more lucrative than paying $190. And it's a pretty simple shoe, so maybe the costs are lower to Nike, which gives them the ability to have a better price for the consumers. But 160 is definitely a better price point again, and then that 190. The 190 is just a little bit high, and especially for this reseller crazy market right now, like the Air Jordan 1's a lot more lucrative because it's a $30 off the top that you could save. People are definitely going to be more inclined to buy these since the profit is a little bit greater on the shoe that is cheaper from them to begin with. All right, so the last reason why I think that the Air Jordan 1 is so coveted amongst sneakerheads is because of the classic and timeless look of the Air Jordan 1. I know it is just one of those things that seems to be thrown out there all the time, but it's an Air Jordan 1, 1985. It's really rich with history. It's the very first Air Jordan 1. It's a simpler design. It has a similar design as the Air Force 1 and the Nike Dunk. It doesn't have all the crazy looks and design elements of like an Air Jordan 5 or 6, or even like an Air Jordan 3 or 4. This is just a lot simpler, and because of that, it's a lot cleaner and makes more of a classic feel. It's just sort of like white kitchens. Like in general, like white cupboards and stuff in kitchens makes it look just timeless, and it's more classic looking. And that's kind of like the Air Jordan 1 in a sense as well. Because of that, it's just one of those shoes that I think that can be reinvented over and over again, which they've been doing. It can be collaborated with. You can do different color blocking on all the panels. You can do different materials on the shoe as well. There's a lot of versatility to the simple Air Jordan 1, and one little tweak makes it just a little bit better or makes it a little bit different. But overall, no matter how you tweak the shoe, it's still going to be more simplistic than the other Air Jordan models out there. It's lower tech, but it's higher fashion because it is such a iconic and classic and simple shoe. Kind of hilarious that it's higher fashion and it's simpler, but it's kind of the way things feel like they're going together nowadays. Now, just because I've listed some things of why this shoe is kind of like a must-have for sneakerheads and why it is so classic and iconic and everything else, that doesn't mean the Air Jordan 1 bubble is not going to burst. The open market on the Air Jordan 1s has been crazy. If you guys have been paying attention to the aftermarket at all, it's just absolutely insane. These were going for $800 at one point, $900. Now they're going for over $2,000 in select sizes. It's just wild and crazy. The European version of these are going for $5,000 in some sizes now, and the Chicagos are going for near 10 in some sizes. It's like, what is going on? Absolutely insane with the way this sneaker aftermarket bubble has been going. Eventually, I think the Air Jordan 1 market is going to correct itself. I don't think it can be this crazy for forever. And honestly, if you think about it, like all things that are crazy, crazy high eventually flux back down. The Nike SB wave went up and down and up and down. And at some point, you know, it went really far down. Same thing with all the Yeezys. I mean, even the Turtle Doves were going for $2,500 at one point, and then they went down to, I haven't checked lately, but it was over like close to $1,000 or something like that for Turtle Doves, which was the most coveted pair of like Yeezys originally. So I feel like the waves of the Yeezys are going up and down. I feel like we've only been seeing an uptick of the Air Jordan 1, and eventually that thing has to burst. So that's my thoughts. I feel like it's going to happen eventually. I just don't know when. Leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Air Jordan 1 bubble is going to burst? I know I already mentioned some, but there's great reasons why people are investing in and liking and appreciating the Air Jordan 1. But also I feel like it's just the hype train right now. It's been the hype train for the last year and a half. And I feel like eventually it's going to hit a brick wall. And then eventually, you know, that gold mine might turn into bricks. But it is what it is. You like what you like. And if you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. And one other thing I just wanted to point out, everybody always says Tinker Hatfield is a GOAT with Air Jordans, but Tinker Hatfield did not design the Air Jordan 1. I don't know if that's news to anybody out there. Leave a comment if you want to call yourself out and let other people know that you didn't know that. But the Air Jordan 1 was not designed by Tinker Hatfield. So throwing that out there, leave a comment if you do know who designed the Air Jordan 1. See if you can not Google it and give yourself a pat on the back for leaving the correct answer. But thank you guys for stopping by and watching the video. Kind of a random one that I decided to make today. Check back on the channel real soon though, and I do have this fake pair of Travis Scott's that I did cut in half. I will have a video showing you guys that in action. Not this one, the other one of the two. But anyways, thank you for stopping by and watching. Subscribe if you guys are new, blah, blah, blah. More videos soon. Peace, guys.